Hello and welcome to another episode of Wind, Waves and Wells with Joe. This week's episode is fucking brilliant. Sidney Huval. I met up with him like most contacts on LinkedIn. He reached out. I went and did a little bit of research into his story and whatnot. And I won't go on too much, but one thing I did gather from this episode is he is an extremely intelligent motherfucker with a lot of energy as well behind it. So without me holding this up for too much longer, let's get straight into it with Sidney. Hi Sidney, thank you so much for coming on the show, mate.
Well, Joe, I appreciate the invitation. So easy on me. This is my first time. This is my first time.
Is it? I appreciate you reaching out, to be honest with you. Your story's brilliant. I've obviously asked you for a little bit about it, but do you want to introduce, who you are and go into a little bit about why I pulled you on?
Okay, so Sidney Huval, but Sidney D. Huval is the title I'm carrying on LinkedIn. It goes deeper. It's more methodical. So website, tying all this stuff in. Anyway, spent 17 years in oil and gas, working for two of the super majors. Got my head cut off twice. Decided that I didn't want a third round of that. Took my money, all of my money, and
got the fuck out of there. Got the fuck
out
of there.
Invested in me. Oh shit! Invested in me, then lost it all.
Oh, brilliant!
And then this is my 8th year, so it hasn't killed me yet.
No,
and it's fun. So I'm in construction. We own. I have a bunch of companies, but again, it's what I learned and kind of, I spent my career. I've spent 17 years in oil and gas. Almost 15 years with Baker Hughes and 3 years with NOV. And, when I went on with Baker Hughes, I started off as a field engineer for Intech, drilling evaluation. I did 7 years in drilling and then switched over into completions and did 7 years in completions. Finished up that career as a product line manager for completions, all of completions, plus tubular running services in Brazil, and ended a career with Baker Hughes. Then joined NOV and in the completions group, and then ran Latin America for about 3 years. But when I joined NOV, it was awesome. I joined in August of 2014. The collapse of the oil field as we know it started December of that same year, and it just went on this decline. And I managed to ride that decline from 14 through 17. And Q1 2017, I was finally let go. And, a year later, we saw negative oil prices. We saw the futures contracts at negative 30. But, the second let go, when they let me go, I sat back and it was one of those surreal moments. My wife and I had just got back from this awesome trip in Mexico. We were doing business development, setting up a whole new business unit. I came back and I got my plane landed that morning. I went straight to the office. I was let go by noon, jumped in an Uber at 12:30, went back to my house. I was sitting on my porch and my wife was like, "What do we do?" And then we sat there and, didn't cry, man. I mean, it was surreal. And she was like, "What are you going to do?" I said, "There's nothing we can do." I said, "This is it. The oil field's dead." And so my specialty was Latin America. Latin America is so finicky. It's so fickle that, then there was U.S. land, and I lived in Houston. And so U.S. land, everything U.S. land was running out of Odessa. And so, but no one was hiring. So I said, "Look, this is what we're going to do." She looked at me. She's like, "All right, what are we doing?" I said, "We're going to start a company." She's like, "All right, what does that look like?" I said, "We're going to start 2. She was like, "Why?" So I started 2 companies at the top. I started a consulting company because I didn't want to let go of the oil field because we were doing, me and another friend had some crazy ideas. We were working on some IP for some tools in whipstocks, wellbore intervention. So we had some anchors and stuff we were working on. We were gonna go start a company, but we had to manufacture, and we were doing that and finding. And so I had that. So I had a consulting company that I still wanted to play in the oil field because that's all I knew. I mean, I had all the experience. I was like, oh, if no one will hire me, they'll hire a consultant, right? So I did that. And then we also started a furniture company because I had, because like everything else, we all pick on habits and, hobbies. So I was building furniture, and I was like, man, you know what? Worst case scenario, I'll build fine furniture. And that was right around Instagram and all that. So if you follow the trends, it was like, oh man, I can make a bunch of money doing this. Because Insta famous. All you need is a website. All you need is an idea. Let's go do it. So, like everything else, for 17 years, the oil field is awesome, but it's horrible.
It's a good way.
And here's not. In the field, you don't really understand, right? So you just drilling, or you're completing, or you're simming a rig and you're working, right? You just focus 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. You're focused on your job. It's awesome. You get into the office, and then you start learning how this machine makes money. And the money this machine makes is awesome. Then, through that 17 years, they send me to business school. So I went to one of the top business schools, and I learned. And I learned how to really make money. And the coolest part is that as I'm learning on one side, I'm working for Baker, and I'm applying it immediately. Like, they teach me this advanced finance stuff. I'm like, let's try it. They teach me game theory. I'm like, let's try it. Monte Carlo simulation built, let's try it. And the best part about it is that, my career, I always had these bosses that understood enough about me that I'm crazy enough that all you do is just give me a lane. And they just turned me loose. And it was awesome. They're like, go. And so I'd come back excited, like, man, you never guess what I learned this week. They're like, what, Sidney? It's like, man, I learned this Monte Carlo simulation where we can build these financial models and forecast 10,000 things of what could happen. They're like, what does that mean? I said, well, when we bid this job, we can bid all this. And they're like, can you do it? Yeah. I bang it out. Next time, I got it. And they're looking at me like, this guy is nuts. So that, but this was later on. I've already done a startup. So the startup in Baker Hughes was even crazier. That was just nuts, man. All right, let me take a step back.
Yeah.
All right. In the beginning.
I was just going to say, how did you end up in the first place?
All right. So, I grew up in South Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm Cajun. Like, it's Cajun. This is it. Like,
coolness.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you watch Swamp People, like that show with Troy.
Yeah.
Shoots the gun.
Yeah,
shoot. Yeah. Okay. Well, look, that guy lives a few miles from where I grew up.
Right. Yeah. So full blown.
So I thought about this in the story. So Troy's dog bred with my brother's dog, and they had puppies.
Let's hope it just stopped at the dogs, eh?
That's what I'm saying. I can't make this up, man. So, all right. So that's where I grew up.
Yeah. Full blown. Yeah. You are.
That's it.
Yeah.
So I studied business. I was supposed to be a doctor. I was pre-med. I made a couple bad grades. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I have an F. I have a real F on my transcript. Then one of my high school friends, and he's a doctor. He went to Harvard, right? He's a Harvard trained PhD. He and I were in, oh yeah, dude, that. So he and I were in like biology, I don't know, one of the high level biology labs. And he asked me what I made on the test. I said, man, I made a C. He's like, Sidney. He goes, you're not going to get into med school. I was like, it's going to be fine. He's like, dude. He goes, do you have a C on your transcript? I'm like, dude, I got an F. He's like, dude, you're done. I'm like, no. He's like, yeah, dude, you're done. This is my freshman year. I was like, I got to start over. So I go talk to the counselor, and I was like, hey, I need to start over. She's like, what? I said, yeah, look, start over. Just erase all those grades and start me, and I'll start fresh. And I promise I'll study. She was like, it's not how it works. So it pissed me off. And then, my uncle's an engineer, got a huge firm. And so they were like, just go study engineering and go work for your uncle. It's like, nope, it's not what we're going to do. So I studied how to make money. I said, you know what? I'm going to learn how to make money. So I did study finance, marketing, international business. Did that, graduated, moved to Austin, Texas right after to go chase the tech boom. When I got there, I didn't study computer science. And the school I went to was awesome computer science program, but I didn't want to study that. Couldn't find work, came back home, moved back to the family farm, and was picking pecans. You know what pecans are?
Yeah, pecans.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was picking pecans because I was too proud to ask for money. But we had an orchard, so we had like hundreds of fucking pecan trees.
Yeah.
So I'd go pick 50, 60 pounds of pecans every day, sell them, and had enough money to go out every night.
Yep.
I was zicking it.
There it is.
A family friend came over and he was like, didn't you graduate college? I'm like, yeah. He goes, what are you doing? I said, nothing, picking pecans. He's like, look, I'm going to put you in touch with somebody. You're going to go talk to him. So he put me in touch with a gentleman named Colby Cologne. He was the operations manager at Baker Hughes Intech. And the guy that gave me the job, that told me about this, he was part of this group called the IRP, International Rotator Pool. And these were like the top of the top, like the best of the best. They send these guys all over the world.
Right.
So a recommendation from him, because a family friend, he's like, here, go talk to Colby. So I went, he sat down, they were hiring, that's oil field boom. They couldn't put enough people in there. I got in, he's like, it's 24-hour call. I don't care. It's offshore. I don't care. What does it pay? We'll pay you a day rate. And the day rate was $25 a day starting. $25 a day rate plus a salary.
Yeah.
My base salary without day rate was more than they told me I was going to make coming out with a business degree. So that was awesome. So then we came in and then we bumped up and I went from $25 a day to $75 a day to $150 to $250. When I finished my career offshore, I was making $850 a day.
Fucking good money.
Stupid money.
Plus your salary. Good money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus it's out. But at that time, I had an office salary. My last day rate, I was making $800 a day, plus an office salary. So my rate was probably close to a lot.
Yeah.
So I did that. So I ran tools. That was awesome. Ran tools for 4 years.
Off drill string. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
MWD tool.
Yeah.
MWD tool. So the coolest part of running MWD tools was this. My first class I took at Baker Hughes, so they put me offshore. It was awesome. I go sit on a rig, and I'm like, what do I do? They're like, just watch the screen. I'm like, what? Just watch the screen. It pulses. I was like, okay. Well, what do I do? They're like, just got to synchronize the pulse and make sure the tool face is correct. I'm like, tool face? They're like, yeah, directional driller. And then scribing the mud, all that, right? Scribe the mud mode. I'm like, man, this is like voodoo art. And then they gave me the warning. The warnings were basic. Number one, when you put the stuff in the computer system, make sure you put it correct. Because if you kick a weld off in the wrong direction, you'll lose your job.
Yeah. Plain and simple.
All right. Numbers must be correct.
Yeah.
Then the corrections in the system, mag correction, magnetic north, true north. I was like, what the hell? They're like, oh yeah, this is a compass. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah. No, yeah, man. That's like a compass. They're like, yeah, it's surveying. I'm like, what? Yeah, we're surveying the wellbore. And I'm running around with engineers, right? So when you look at the ratio of like Baker Hughes, it's like 30% geologists, 30% petroleum engineers, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, civil engineers, and they got this little bitty slice in there that says other, like 1%, 2% other. This is the other.
Yeah. You want
and these guys know this stuff. Like, Sidney, you don't understand this? I'm like, no, dude. Well, this is basic engineering. I'm like, dude, I studied finance. How to make money.
Yeah. What the fuck you doing here then?
And I'm like, I still don't know how we make money, right?
Yeah.
So then I take my first class, and then it was awesome. So we sit in this class, and everybody's going around introducing themselves. Like, I'm so-and-so. I have a master's degree in petroleum engineering from UT. I'm this, and I went to Marietta School, and I went to Colorado School of Mines. I'm like, damn, these guys are smart.
Yeah.
And they look at me. I'm like, hi.
Hi, I'm Sidney.
I'm Sidney. Big business.
Kind of a big deal.
And we're all getting paid the same.
Yeah.
It's fun for you. So it's hilarious, right? So, but that was the coolest part was, they gave me an opportunity. And then I just had this curiosity. But then it was a curiosity mixed with imposter syndrome. It was awesome. Like, I constantly had to prove myself that I was smart enough, work hard enough, and could learn. Because I was surrounded by people that were way smarter than me. I mean, these guys knew this stuff. They studied this stuff. They knew mud pulse telemetry was nothing new for them. Fast Fourier transform was nothing new to them. Shit, man, we're running gamma ray tools. I didn't understand what that was. They knew this stuff. Resistivity, they knew this stuff. It's like, what is resistivity? They were like, oh, it's this. So I had to take these really complex ideas and dumb them down in a way that I could basically move fast. What I did was I didn't care. Like, I got to the point. I was like, you know what? This is it. This is my job. I'm going to be good at it. And if I can't be smart, I'm going to work harder than all you son of a bitches. You're not going to outwork me. And what that meant, dude, I asked my supervisor, my coordinator, I said, what's the most days somebody ever spent offshore? He was like, why? I said, how many? It's like 290.
In a year. Yeah.
In a year.
Yeah.
I said, Robert, I want 305 days. He was like, can't do it. I'm like, why not? I said, we could do 305. He's like, you can't. I said, well, we're going to try. So my longest stint offshore was 63 days straight.
Yeah. 9 weeker.
And back then I smoked cigarettes, and they would call me. They're like, hey, do you want to come in? Nope. And I'd call my mom. I'd say, hey, Mom, I need you to go bring cigarettes to the office. And she'd go over there with 2 or 3 cartons of cigarettes. She'd bring them to the front desk, give them to the secretary. When the tools would come out, they'd put my cigarettes. They'd send me cigarettes. And I stayed offshore. And I did that. It was awesome. So I ran tools, saw the best rigs, worst rigs, did deepwater projects, did a lot of fishing. I mean, that's awesome. So I caught every fish. Every fish you could catch off a rig, I caught. Tuna, amberjack, mackerel, shark, barracuda, mahi-mahi, grouper. When I'm not proud of it. One time we ran out of diamond jigs. We took the crescent wrenches.
Yeah. Stuck them on there.
We took a crescent wrench and we tied a leader through it with a big treble hook, and we were throwing crescent wrenches. I'm not kidding. Throwing crescent wrenches. Then was like, man, I can't lose. We lost a couple. Like, all right, we got like one left.
Yeah. Kind of need them for the job.
Kind of need this now. I read your questions, and you asked like any close calls or hairy moments. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you, Joe. I got 2 stories for you.
Yeah.
And I got one serious story.
Yep.
And I got one story that is so crazy that you're gonna be like, no way you did that.
Right.
So,
We'll go for
which story do you want?
We'll have a serious one first, and then we'll go with a crazy straight after. As long as you don't get you in trouble. That's the main. That's
No. Oh shit. Statute of limitation.
Yeah,
The statute of limitation on this is way past. I mean, this is 20 years ago.
All right, perfect then.
But I will not use details.
Right,
I won't
that's
tell.
fine. Yeah, no rigs, no company names. The last thing I want is fucking
Love it. Then I can tell this story.
the Yanks going after me or something like that.
Yeah, story number 1. Geomechanics. So when I was running tools, I ran up the ranks, and then I started getting to like resistivity tools. So resistivity tools I really liked. That was awesome. Then we did the resistivity tools. I specialized in drilling dynamics, which was really cool. And that's kind of when we did the startup, was with the drilling dynamics tool. And then rotary steerable. But when we look at resistivity, geomechanics and geophysics, there was a program called Predict, where you use resistivity modeling to model overpressure or under pressure in the formation. So it was like a voodoo science, but it was awesome, right? Some people took it serious, some people didn't. I thought it was cool, so I really took it serious. So we were on this rig one time, man, and we were drilling, and I'm watching the resistivity, and then I'm plotting it against this pore pressure. And the curve is coming to the left. I'm like, man, we are drilling into an under pressured zone. And I kept bringing it to the company. I said, hey, man, my log is showing that the resistivity is coming down to the left. He's like, that doesn't mean nothing. I'm like, well, according to what I've been taught, it means that we're coming into an under pressure zone. And if we pop the next layer, we could lose the well. Just saying. He's like, no, it's not. I don't believe that stuff. Anyway, I'm not an engineer. So I knew enough. I knew how to do it. I learned how to use that program really well. I knew my data really well. But was I a geophysicist and I could explain to a company man and the next level, 2 levels up, at exactly what was happening? No. All I knew is that the resistivity curve was going to the left, and that is bad. I mean, look, they taught me real simple. They said, Sidney, it's a football. I'm like, what? He said, just think football. I'm like, what's that mean, Robert? He's like, all right, gamma ray goes to the left, resistivity goes to the right. It looks like a football. I'm like, whoa. As he goes, that's the pay zone. I'm like, perfect. Look for footballs.
American footballs, obviously.
American football, not the round, the one that right. So, those are the heuristics that I played with. It was like, okay, look for the left, look for the right, find this. Anyway, we saw this stuff going on for about a day and a half, and I kept bringing it up to the company, man. He wouldn't do anything about it. Dude, we went in there. They drilled that next zone. Like, it crossed the fault. Dude.
Gone.
Sirens, mud, gone. Gone. Shut up. It grabbed that PH and she lost everything. Oh, dude, it was over.
Fuck.
It was over.
Was this Deepwater?
No, this was Shelf.
Oh, okay. Thank God for that.
Oh, yeah, dude. It shut this thing down. Oh, dude, we lost the whole string. Lost the tools, lost everything. Company man. After that, he's like, yeah, bro, you're probably right. I'm like,
footballs.
Then resistivity goes to the left, not good. Anyway, so because resistivity is supposed to go to the right, so constantly increasing resistivity anyway. So that was the real one. So that was like, that was the first one that I was like, oh my gosh, this stuff is real.
How much money do you think they lost on that well?
We had to sidetrack it, so shit, that was probably. They probably lost time, at least probably half a million.
Yeah, so okay, so it's not so it could have been worse.
Could have been worse.
Yeah, it could have been worse.
Could have been worse, right?
Yeah.
Then you go back and, and the coolest part about working like on rigs is like, I think most people that have never been there don't understand how dangerous that stuff is. They have no idea.
No, I know what you mean.
No idea. Like, everything around you can kill you. You walk outside, the things that are swinging in the air are not light.
No.
The sound. I mean, look, you're running on a rig that's running at what, 130, 140 decibels? Constantly. The background noise on these rigs is 120, 130 decibels. Then you get up to the rig floor. Dude, we used to run pro panel boxes back in the first days. They would put us right next to the drawwork. You saw it. The MWD hands sleeping on a bucket next to the drawworks. That was me. No earplugs. Oh.
I'm thinking of it now. Actually, I went onto a well 6 or 7 years ago. A new well. We went on with coil, and we were changing tools out left, right, and center. There was obviously shite all over the string when it was coming back out. And I think we'd been on this well for about 4 months, and after about 4 months of being covered in this shit every time you were changing tools out at the end of the string, someone turned around and said, "Oh, we've not checked for benzene in the well." So someone went back to the beach and said, "Well, we better get someone out to go and start, checking for benzene." Anyway, boy comes out, checks the string. The next time it comes out of the stump, yeah, that's covered in benzene, lads. Oh, really? We've been changing tools out left, right, center for 4 months. Oh, have you been, wearing the correct PPE? You changing it? Nah, just going back inside and wearing the same copies the next day, eating and all that. Yeah, you probably shouldn't be doing that one, lads. So that, for example,
you know what? Look, I mean, but that's the beauty of it, right? So when you look at what this industry can do, it's addictive. Like, everyone is so hyper focused on one thing. To get this well drilled, to get this well completed, to pull this fish, whatever we're going to do, everyone's so hyper focused that anything else doesn't matter.
No.
And the coolest part about it, when you look at the physical, mental training, and you've talked about mentally, man, it's like you have a switch. Like, you're there. There is no going home.
No. You
can call, but you're not leaving. If you get sick, you're sick on the rig. And so, when I looked at that environment, it was awesome, right? So it was awesome training. All right, so that's the scary story.
Yeah.
Funny. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. I used to love fishing. I fished every rig I had, every chance I got, I fished.
Yeah.
Okay. I used to catch big fish. Stupid big fish. All right. So we were on this rig. It was a jackup rig right next to a production platform.
Yeah.
Okay. So production platform is on the shelf, and it had let's call it 20 wells. All in. And we're coming in drilling another well. So production platform, rig right on the side. Hey, Joe, I'm asking you a question. What's the little clear line that they run across the handrail from the production platform all across the rig? It's a little thin plastic. What's that for? You ever seen that one?
No, it's either the electrics or they're running air across from one another. No.
Correct. Why would they run air in a little bitty thin line that would melt?
Well, you wouldn't. I think you'd probably use at least a 3/4 inch to be running air across from one side to the other.
No. I'm gonna prime you. In the case of an emergency,
yeah,
like a fire
on
on the rig,
it's a shutdown.
There you go.
Yeah, okay. And they were running it. Right, okay. Right, so that's, okay.
Right.
Airline for shutdowning.
Here we go.
Linked from the
emergency shutdown line.
Yeah, platform to drill it, yep.
There you go. All right. Now, picture this. It's about midnight. The smoke shack was off the side of the rig, and I could smoke and fish right next to each other.
Fucking brilliant.
So I caught hardtail all morning, and I had a bucket full of live fish. And I'd hook the live fish, and I'd throw it off the side. And remember, we're fishing 90 feet off the water.
Some job.
So I drop a fish down 90 feet. Big fish bites little fish. I hook it, and I can either, if it's small enough, I can crank it back up. If they're too big, I have to drop a gaff, which is a big hook with big spikes on it with rope. Drop it over the handrail, grab the fish, and then pick the fish up over the handrail. Okay. You following?
Yeah.
So I'm fishing, smoking and fishing, and I have a couple fish on the deck, and I didn't do any damage yet. So I go in and I hook this massive amberjack. Big one. Like, big. When I gaff it, it's so heavy, I can't pick it up. So what do? I grab the rope and I wrap the rope around my body, and I start running backwards because I got from the handrail to the rig, I got about 10 feet. So I'd run backward, dragging the rope across the handrail.
Where this airline's kicking about.
There we go.
Oh, fuck.
First 10 feet. No problem. Tie the rope off. All right. Go back to the rope. Grab it again. 10 more feet. 10 more feet. 10 more feet. Beep, beep, beep. Alarm's going off. And I'm sitting here with a rope. I'm like, man, I got this fish halfway up.
Can't stop now.
Can't stop now. Everybody on the rig is running around. Like, roustabouts running, rough people run all over the place. And I'm sitting here dragging this fish across the handrail. I finally get this son of a bitch up on the rig deck, right? There's blood everywhere.
And a fish.
So, follow. I'm in company coveralls with the big company sign on the back on my back.
Yeah.
Smoking a cigarette. One going off. Big fish, blood everywhere, rope everywhere.
Yeah.
They finally get to me, and they found.
Yeah. Where it all went wrong.
What went wrong.
How did you explain that one in a way that?
No, I didn't realize what happened.
All right.
I didn't realize what happened until I went back inside the rig after I cleaned that fish. I was like, all right, man, it's a line. You fix the line and it goes there. What I didn't realize is that by cutting that line, I shut in every well on that production line.
Fuck. Yeah. That's enough to get you in trouble. Is that the last time you went fishing offshore by any chance?
No, never stopped. I was just way more careful.
Yeah.
Now, so, it's some stuff like that, man. So that was like, that's what made that environment so much fun. It was like, it was just stuff. It was just these great stories. And, you're surrounded by really, really smart people. So half the guys that coming in were like engineers, like true engineers, like so serious. And I sit here like, all right, boys, this is how we're going to do this. And, we'll transition from drilling to training. So when I got out the field, I got married and my wife was like, all right, we're not doing this. I was like, okay, I'll find another job. So I found a job. So the only group, so I stayed inside of Baker Hughes. So my goal was to never leave. My goal was to work for one company from the first job till I retire. Was right. One company was in my head. That's what I was going to do. So I took a job in training. That was cool.
Yeah.
So what do they do? So imagine me, full of energy. Everything that the older trainers didn't want to do, that's what they gave to me. Hey, Sidney, we are hosting the Chinese nationals that bought a bunch of tools from us. We don't feel like training them. We're going to send them to you. They're here for a month. Perfect. Let's train the Chinese. Dude.
Train Chinese.
The Chinese, the national oil company, they'd send their people there. Dude, that. So the coolest story of that was this one. I trained the Chinese and I trained the Russians. The Russians were awesome.
Fucking brilliant.
Awesome. So they'd send these Russians to me. So at that time, Baker Hughes would sell some of the older tech, and they sold some of this to the Russian oil company. So the Russians come over here, 12 of them. They come there, and me, they're like, hey, I was like, what do y'all want to do? We want to shoot guns and see women. I was like,
I'm your man.
With one of the two. I can help you with one of those two.
Yeah.
I suggest we don't go play with guns.
Yeah. My man.
So, I ended up calling. So I had a corporate card, right? So I called the guy that does all the sales globally, right? So he's the guy that handles this. I was like, hey, these guys want to do something. They want to shoot guns or chase women. And I said, I can't put that on my card. He's like, I said, can I take them fishing? He's like, absolutely. Great. No problem. I swiped my corporate card. We charter 4 boats.
How many Russians were there?
12 Russians.
Fuck it, that was a lot of boats for 12 Russians.
That's what I'm saying. 3 men per boat. 4 boats.
Brilliant.
But the guys, we rent a van, drive down. 12 Russians. So imagine me leading 12 Russians to Texas to jump on boats with these boat captains that are like, these guys don't speak English and they're from Russia. I'm like, we're taking them fishing.
Fuck yeah, we are.
Absolutely. The card worked, right? Yep. We're going fishing.
So what are you asking questions for? Get them fucking engines going.
That's it. Get them running. Let's go.
Mm-mm.
Joe, we go fishing. We limit out. These guys are staying in a hotel. Imagine 12 limits of fish. 13 including me.
Right.
Joe, I had more fish than I knew what to do with. The Russians were inside of a hotel room. They couldn't do anything. I had 12 limits of fish. Ice chest full of fish. So what do? Company paid for it. I go in the office and I start giving fish away. Secretaries, managers, whoever. And who wants fish? I'm the fish man. Bags of fish. And it was super cool, right? So we do that. Then I ended up hosting this meal with them and I cooked the fish for them. And it was really cool. And it was like, we became friends. And they come in and we share. I cook. Then they bring some of their culture. They brought this huge, beautiful piece of salmon. And they brought bottles of ice cold vodka. This is back when I was drinking.
Yeah.
Joe. Them boys can drink. Look, I drank with all of y'all. I drank with the Brits. I drank with the Aussies. I drank with the Venezuelans, Brazilians, Colombians, Cajuns, you name them. Dude, we ain't got nothing. So, on the 3rd, 5th of vodka, I was like,
what the fuck have I done here?
exactly. So, I do training for about 4 years. One thing I learned about was I get bored really easy.
Okay.
Like if it's not constant stimulation, I get bored. But again, it's that thing of like, I go in there, I learn it. If it's new, if I don't know it, I'll learn it. It takes me a little while to master it. Once I master it, and then I realize that it's a monotonous task, I get really bored. Like, I can't do this. So there was a startup group And so it was one of the first cross product line, cross division integrations. So the person leading this team, she is she was by far my best boss ever. She was brilliant, and she let me be me. And we built this business unit from zero. So Baker All Tools bought some tools from Intech, never been done before. They give me, here you go, Sidney. Here's 8 tools. Go make money. I was like, cool. There was nothing. So we built everything from scratch. So we built like the logs, built all the formats. And then we started realizing, so like this tool would measure downhole weight. So a lot of the patents I have were because of that tool, because we were sitting here playing with stuff that no one's ever done before. And so we coming up with crazy shit. Like we used a nuclear density tool to find casing colors.
How did that go?
Got a patent on it.
Did it get used much?
No, man. It was and that was another cool thing. Was like, so when I was working, like when I took the first nuke class, and they told me, hey man, we're gonna play with nukes. I was like, what do you mean nukes? They're like radioactive isotopes. I'm like, no man. They're like, no, serious radiation. They're like, yeah, real radiation sticks. I'm like, no. I said, what does it do? Like, oh, it knocks electrons off. I'm like, what? Can I get like a water molecule? The radiation produces this high-speed gamma ray. I'm gonna look. The engineers are gonna. I'm butchering this whole thing, but this is how I think. We emit gamma rays and knock electrons off, and then we measure the time for the electron to come back, and it tells us the pore space inside the rock, porosity. ORDCCN, density, porosity.
Yeah.
And then they give us little badges, these little radioactive badges, like that you have to wear.
Yeah, when you're around.
Yeah, you're exposed.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here like, I say, man, guys, who came up with this? And that's what was curious to me. It's like, how? Who said, man, I'm going to take this radioactive isotope, stick it to this tool, measure this. And so the coolest part about being in the oil and gas industry is, yeah, you got dumb iron side, but man, you got some really smart people.
Yeah.
And Baker, he had some like fellows. And I mean, I got to sit with men that are like thinkers.
Yeah. Proper.
And when we did this startup, we were trying to measure the weight of a fish. So basically a fish downhole at like 30,000 feet.
Not the fish you were catching off the side of the platform.
No, not those. Packers. So we were doing extended ERD wells, extended reach development wells, and we were trying to pull the lower packers for the sand control. So like you pull the completion, it strains out, right? So we go in, how do you confirm that you are latched in and have removed the packer that's 30,000 feet with a well deviation of 90 degrees? So much drag, you can't tell. So how do you do that? Well, you run a tool that can measure downhole. Well, the tool that can measure downhole was programmed for drilling, which was running at 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 pounds down. So we had to rewrite this thing. So me and an engineer who was like, it was never just me. I came up with these crazy ideas, and I had this awesome engineer that worked with me, and he is really awesome. I'd go sell this stuff, and when we'd finish the meeting, he's like, Sidney, you cannot say that. I'm like, why not? He goes, we can't prove that. I said, sure we can, Mike. We can prove it. I said, you can figure it out. I said, you can run the numbers. I said, I know the tool can do that. He's like, yeah, but Sidney, it's never been done. I'm like, Mike, does it make sense theoretically? Yes. Then we sold it. It's done.
Make it work, Mike. Make it work.
Make it work, Mike. Make it work, Mike. So it was awesome, right? So we'd sit there, and then one time we were trying to test this tool, and they fussed at me, right? So it was a strain gauge. And so a strain gauge basically measures the steel. So I was trying to measure, I think I put 50 pounds on it. And we couldn't get it to measure, right? So I was like, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I said, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to jump on this thing. A tool string, so 20 foot of 6 3/4 inch collar, hanging off of a crane outside where everybody in the base could see me, right? I proceed to walk outside, grab the tool, and we have a cap, a lifting cap with some chains, with a piece of pipe that probably weighed 50 pounds. All I wanted to see, can this thing weigh the pipe? But it would never, we couldn't get it to see, right? So we go there and I start jumping on it. They come outside, they're like, Sidney, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm trying to get this tool to react. They're like, Sidney, please stop. This is an HS&E nightmare. Like, if anything happens, like, this is going to be really bad.
Yeah.
So I couldn't figure it out, right? So I ended up calling one of the fellows, and I was like, hey, brilliant, man. I was like, hey, I'm having trouble getting this thing to measure. He's like, show me your data. So, and again, same thing, like, played with so much data. So I looked at this, I was like, look, follow this right here. I said, this is he goes, you know what I think is happening? I'm like, what? He goes, watch. He goes, go outside. Are there clouds in the sky? I'm like, yeah. He goes, Sidney. He goes, your data is being affected by clouds. What? He goes, yeah, look at your reading. Look at your strain gauge. He goes, when clouds come across, your strain gauge changes. I'm like, what? It's just like, again, he saw the data. He's like, man, this is what it is. He goes, where's the tool? I said, it's hanging outside. He goes, outside, sun? I'm like, yeah. He goes, clouds outside? Yeah. He goes, clouds. So then we take it and then go bring it inside of a shop, and we go hang this tool inside of a climate-controlled environment for 3 days and get it to stabilize. And then we finally get this strain gauge to stabilize. And then we were able to do what we needed to do. It was awesome, right? So, you know, it's like I always had these crazy ideas, knowing that they gave me this tool. And I'm like, look, this thing can do it. It's built by engineers. This thing can do it. We just got to, it's just never been done. We're just going to do it. So that was, you know, the best experience was just being surrounded in this environment. This was pre-2014 when everybody freaked out and oil.
Yeah.
You know, when oil field was still fun and we were still making tons of money.
Yeah.
You know, and that's when it was really, really fun. You know, and it was cool. It's like, so you just do. And you're surrounded. When I started my company, I really understood what failure feels like. Yeah. Failure sucks. Yeah. Losing a bunch of money, losing all your money sucks, man. It's hard. It's like you're saving money.
Yeah.
Dude, the coolest, I had a mentor. I had lots of mentors. That was the other part. The training I received inside of the big organizations was top notch, man. It's like you're surrounded by excellence. Mentors were always there. And I had some of the best mentors in the world. Blessed. Blessed. You know, I'd have coffee with, you know, top brass executives and we would talk. And they would ask me, what do you want to do? I'm like, this is what I want to do. I want to do this. I want to do that. Great. And they just go. So it was, you know, so when you're surrounded by that, you're unstoppable. Mm. So you asked the question, like, would you encourage anybody to get in here? Whether it's oil and gas or any big company, I would encourage people to go work for really big companies while you're learning.
Yeah.
Because inside of there, if you have enough desire, failing in those big companies doesn't hurt.
Yeah, you get away with it a bit more.
You know, and then they encourage you, right? And so that was cool. Then I finished business school. So while we finished, I finished the startup. I got bored with that. After we made a bunch of money with it, and I made enough money, and I got tired of going back offshore, I'm like, all right, I'm done with this. I'm not doing this anymore. So I handed it off and I went to do something else. I went to do business development, like true business development. And that's when I really learned business and how to make money and pricing. And it was awesome. I had some, again, incredible mentors. I mean, incredible salesmen. And dude, you want to talk about sophisticated sales. Oil and gas sales is more sophisticated than I've ever seen. And I put a post on LinkedIn and all my friends that read it know it's that. The oil and gas sales were just absolutely, we're a different monster. We are a different animal. Professionalism, just everything. Like construction doesn't have it. Like I'm in construction, there is no salesman here. Like these salesmen they don't know.
No.
Where an oil and gas salesman, like a technical salesman, like Baker, Halliburton, Schlumberger, dude, you're talking about the best field hand or the best that knows it, go sell it. Because he has to convince an engineer that this is it. And so that's what you're surrounded by. It's like you're constantly surrounded by excellence. Like these are the guys. Like you want to know about liner hangers? Go talk to him. You want to know about packers? Go talk to him. And then you talk to the guy and it's like, this is the guy that designed the damn packer. And then I went to the fishing group at Baker Oil Tools and you're talking about the guys that invented these tools. Mm. Like these are the guys. Like, oh yeah, that's so-and-so. It's like, really? You know? And that's it. So it's cool. He's just surrounded by these really, really cool people. And I'm sure in tech, they got that, right? And they have their, right? But we're different monsters.
Yeah.
Just because, and that's the cool part about oil field, is that when we hired a bunch of people, it was like this melting pot. Everybody had to play together. So whether it was a roughneck, or the roustabout, or the MWD hand, the directional driller, fishing hand, all of them, man, they all played this part. And like each of them were like egos were just bigger.
Yeah. Who had the biggest dick?
Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and the cool part is that they paid us so much money that we spent money. I mean, dude, I spent so much money. Like working in the field was awesome. I'd come home and I'd have money. And I'm not talking like a couple $1,000s. I'm talking like $20,000, $30,000. Good month. A good month in the field. Shit, man, I come home with 20, 30 G's.
No, but
I was home for 5 days.
Yeah.
You can't spend $30,000 in 5 days, but I did.
Challenge accepted.
Done. I went look at one and I was like, I want it. And the guy was like, can you afford it? I was like, man, watch this.
Yeah.
I went up, show up in 30 days, came back in and wrote a check. There. Give me the car. You know, so you know, when I got out, so finished business school. Business school was awesome, like I was saying. You asked about the P&A. So P&A, we took this business class. It was like strategy. And they asked us, is like, hey, solve a company problem. And so when I went to business school, BP Macondo had just happened. So like huge accident. It's like all the eyes on it. And then it suddenly became very clear that the industry wasn't adapting. And there were all these wells, these abandoned wells. And then somebody said, oh, well, every one of these wells has the potential of leaking oil. So everybody, figure it out. Well, Gulf of Mexico had the most abandoned wells than anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
So when you work in the business development group for one of the big companies, and my boss was a VP, was like, we need to figure this out. Sidney, figure this out. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
I grabbed the data, man. So we just grabbed data and we just started writing these reports. And so just digging into the data. But the coolest part about that, and you know, so it's kind of one of those things with my career. It's like I'm digging into this data and then I'm sitting at Rice University next to some of the most brilliant professors in the world, having coffee with them and asking them, hey, how do we solve this?
Yeah.
You know, so it was like, wow, you know? And I'm still young. I'm still in my 30s. And this time I'm in my 30s. Man, we're writing these crazy reports. And next thing you know, these reports are going up the brass. And they're reading these damn reports. I'm like, they're actually reading stuff. You know, then they were like, okay, great. You found this report and you found this opportunity. Now, what do we do? I'm like, well, we have everything inside the company to do it. Great. Put it together. So I did. So we did. And then we picked up a client, and then I did one of the first integrated projects for, Deepwater operator. Did one shelf, one Deepwater well. Fully integrated. Did that.
How did that go?
Went well.
Yeah?
Perfect.
Good.
Top work. And then from there, I went to Brazil, and that was awesome.
How long did you spend in Brazil?
2 years.
Right. And is that where you living there?
Yes.
Right, okay.
So I finished, I started the Brazil assignment when I was still in school. When I graduated, we moved right after my graduation. I landed in country. Then I survived for about another year before the hit.
And here you're in, you're
I was with Baker.
still with Baker, right?
Still with Baker. So it's cool. It was awesome. So I'm Cajun.
Yeah.
Pretty clear. What I didn't tell you, I have a dual citizenship. I carry 2 passports. I'm also Brazilian.
Perfect.
5 languages.
Oh, even better then.
So yeah, I'm just a dumb coon ass.
Yeah.
Ignore this guy. So that's hilarious, right? So I show up in country as the new manager, and half them guys didn't realize I speak Portuguese.
Oh, right. Brilliant.
So I get there, and it's like, I start talking. Everybody go, shit, he really speaks Portuguese. Yeah, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I'm Brazilian. How are you Brazilian? My mom's Brazilian, dude. They're like, oh, shit. Yeah, I know the culture. Yes. Surprise.
Brilliant.
I'm here to fix this mess.
Yeah. Fucking brilliant.
The previous gringos that were here? No, partner. I'm here now.
They only speak English, motherfuckers.
It is. So, welcome. Dude, man, we got there, man. It was awesome. That was an awesome experience.
Yeah.
That shit was scary as fuck, man. Dangerous.
Yeah, Brazil.
Oh, dangerous.
Yeah.
Man.
Whereabouts were you?
We were in Rio.
Right, okay.
I used to ride the bus.
Right. I can't imagine that's highly advised to ride the bus.
Oh, they didn't want me doing that.
Yeah, I was
going
going to say, yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to drive. So I would take the public bus. 3-hour ride once a week. I would go to the bus station, and the bus station's so damn dangerous that, like, robbing, all of that. I'd get on the bus at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And then I would drive on the bus about 3.5 hours, 2.5, 3 hours. And I would get to the bus stop, and then I had a driver, a taxi driver that would pick me up, and he was my driver. So the first time I went there, I met this guy. His name was Anderson. I said, "You're going to be my driver." He's like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, look, here's how this is going to work. I'm going to pay you, and all you have to do is bring me around." He's like, "Cool." So I had a driver. He'd pick me up at my hotel, bring me to the office, pick me up at the office, bring me to the bus station, everywhere I want to go. So it was cool. Dangerous as hell though, man. God dog. Like when I first got there, one of the guys, he was a UK guy, he was a British guy. We sat in his office, and he put like a $50 bill on the table. And he's like, and he goes, "So I'm going to just tell you this." He goes, "Your life is worth about this." He goes, "Just be careful, because at any point in time, if you create too much tension or you piss the wrong person off, they can have you killed for this amount of money."
Yeah. Start warning then. A good warning.
And it was like, all right, don't do that. So what do? Come in there with guns blazing.
Oh, brilliant. Fuck's
Oh, they didn't, but I didn't care. Because I'd yell at him.
Yeah.
In Portuguese. You mother. I fired 3 guys one day. Oh, dude, I went off. HR jumped my ass. Oh, they got mad at me. They wrote me up. We were supposed to have so funny story. We were on like cost control. Everybody was like, no more overtime. So I told the guys, no overtime. So what did these son of bitches do? So one of my managers approved overtime. So overtime had to go to like a damn near president level to approve overtime. So this this dumbass approves overtime. So I'm sitting in my warehouse looking out over this bay, and it's like massive completion shop. Two guys are on like the forklifts, but the manual ones,
Yeah.
riding them like skateboards inside of the warehouse.
Yeah. Big no.
Big no. And we just had a safety meeting that day.
Yeah.
They're riding it, and they would get to the end of the thing, and they would turn the handle, and they'd spin.
Yeah. Fucking kids.
And I'm sitting watching this. Man, I came unglued. All the way up the phone, I walk downstairs. I go downstairs, and I start yelling. And I'm not talking like not nice, no PC.
No.
You mother, get your fuck, like yelling, demeaning. Like, I think the stress got to me so bad that I couldn't handle it. It was like, they was so messed up. There was so much pressure. It was like financial pressure, fire a bunch. Like the first order I got was fire 200 people. Like I got in country. The first meeting I had with the VP, hey, you need to fire 200 people. I'm like, I just got in country. Like, we don't care. You need to fire 200 people.
It's a big problem, though, isn't it? Within the oil industry, and it probably still is now, is the high.
You heard it. I saw that, the UK, look, man, that's the industry. And so, we were so used to it. I mean, like mass layoffs, like call everybody in, go into an office, read a script because you can't see anything outside of that script. It was just so. Man, it took that took a toll on it, man.
Yeah, I bet. I can imagine. Yeah.
And so, and you take all these lessons, so fast forward to when we started our companies, I took all these lessons learned and kind of built the company, right? And so it's like, we failed once. After we failed, the coolest part was, man, when you look at when the bank statement comes in, it's like you got $2 left. I mean, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was different to failing within a big corporation.
That's it. So this is it, and I bet, and it's the coolest thing. You bet on yourself, right? So I took my 401k, I took all my options, I took all my money, and I bet on me. And it didn't work.
Mm.
And my wife will tell you, it didn't work because I had gotten so used to working and failing in a big company that I never really got to feel what failure felt like.
Yeah.
So it was fucking humbling, man. God, dog, dude. I had a 2-year-old, we had a house, all that. I was like, man, I just lost all our money. We don't have any more money. That's it. And the industry this was when oil was -30, dude. And
yeah.
If I thought I couldn't find a job at 17 when it's still 30-ish, this is when the futures were -30. I was like, oh man, what am I doing? But, at that point, man, you just keep going, and, faith, friends, family, then you just find people.
Yeah.
Then I hooked up. One of my friends was like, hey, man, I'm going to introduce you to somebody. So I got introduced to let's just call it the construction cartel.
Yeah.
It is, dude. It's all so we get in there, and he comes and meet me. I had a warehouse. I had to close the warehouse down. I had a bunch of tools to sell. And he comes in and he says, hey, man, because I hear you're smart. I'm like, maybe. He goes, you're definitely not a painter, because I had a paint company. I'm doing all kinds of. He's like, you're definitely not that. He goes, you're expensive. He goes, but I heard you know how to do computers. I'm like, yeah, I can do that. He's like, show me. All right, here. I'd open up my computer. I was like, here, this is what I can do. And he's like, all right, good. Come on. So he came on with him, and I was just consulting with him. He's like, all right, I'm going to teach you how to make money. The coolest part, when you find real entrepreneurs, these men, these construction guys here, the Hispanics that are working, that build these massive companies, true entrepreneurs. Like he was like, look, when I started here, all I had was a plastic bag with clothes on my back. that's it. And he built a company. He had 500 men working for him, man. He was building 2 houses a week, doing hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it. And so I went work with him, and he had no processes, no procedures, none of that. I was like, man, how do you bid this stuff? He's like, oh, I just know. I said, what do you mean you just know? He's like, I just know what these things cost. I was like, all right. So I go learn. So I go spend 2 years with him. So while I'm learning construction, I have my uncle teaching me. So my uncle's an incredible engineer. So an old school engineer. So man, he teaches me engineering and how to construct, how to build, like how to draw, how to calculate loads, shear, all this, right? Engineering manuals here. Read these books, read this book, read this book, read this book. And that's all he does. He just gives me a bunch of books. He's like, here, read all of this, consume all this information. So I did. I read every damn book he gave me. Then I go work with the guys, and I'm like, what is this? He's like, all right, this is a commercial building. I said, well, how do you get this number? He's like, this is the number. I said, but how? He's like, it just is. So I go figure out the is. So I start writing code. So I write. And I build these models. And I'm talking like stupid financial models. And we start making money. Like money. Stupid money. And I'm figuring this out. I'm like, oh shit, there's a lot of money in here. He's like, yeah, dude, a lot. So I make an offer to buy his company. I was like, hey, right. So again, I had $0.
Yeah.
So I went from $2 to enough money to buy half his company. I was like, hey man, let me buy you company. Let me buy in. Because he's like, look, I want to grow, I want to do this, I want to do this. I was like, man, look, I can help you, but I will not do it like we're doing it. I need equity. Like I want a piece of the pie. I was like, you have it. We could do it. You have the manpower. I've built the models. Let's go. But I will not turn those models loose to you unless I get equity. So he told me no. He's like, no, I'm not selling you my company. Not now. So then he's like, look, check again later. So we continued working. And then I saved up a bunch of money. Like, I mean, I had a wad.
Yeah.
And I offered again. I was like, hey man, let's do it. But again, the crazy part was I had all that money inside of an account. Then that account went to $0.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Oh, he took all the money out. I thought it was he.
What the fuck?
Dude, you can't make this up, dude. You can't make this up. I'm not talking like 10,000. I'm talking like
an awful lot. Yeah.
An awful lot.
Yeah.
So you go back down to $0 again. Explain that one to your wife.
Fucking hell.
And I wasn't paying myself. And my wife was like, she'd get so mad at me. She goes, take the money out of that fucking account. I said, I'm not. I said, I need it. She goes, for what? I said, I got to flip it. She's like, Sidney, please stop. I was like, fuck that. We're flipping money. She's like, please, baby. I said, look, are the bills paid? Yeah, then that's enough. I need the rest of this money. I'd flip it. And when I say flip it, I mean, construction is huge cost. Like you have to front all this money. So like buying materials, $10,000, paying this. And so you have to have cash. You have to have real money in an account that you could spend. Well, and I'd get 30, 40% returns on my money in 30 days. I mean, I'll turn 10,000 into 20 in a week. But you can't touch the money.
No. Leave it.
You gotta keep flipping it.
Yeah.
And so, when we kept that money in there, was a joint account that he had access to, I had access to, but what he didn't realize is that I wasn't paying myself. So I kept all of my capital. That was my capital account. So in the finance world, that's my capital account. I kept all my money in it. He thought it was his. He took it.
Okay, now.
But then...
Oh, God.
Then I have a conversation with him. I was like, hey, man, So let's talk about that money. You know that wasn't yours, right? No, it's mine. No, motherfucker. That's mine. No. I said, look, partner, let me tell you something, man. I can track every dollar. And I did track every dollar.
Mm.
Right before that meeting, I sent him a packet with a read receipt, like a right. You have to accept it. So basically, you've been served.
Yeah.
With a, hey, you've taken my money.
Yeah.
And here's the documents proving that you've taken my money. Don't worry, I have a copy for myself, but this is just your copy.
Yeah.
So when I sue your dumb ass, you're not going to play stupid. So I was like, where's my money? He's like, I said, partner, I got you. So it turned into a pissing match. I walk around with an Apple Watch with a little code on there that says record. So basically, every meeting I went to, I was recording the meetings. I'm kind of gangster shit. It's like, yeah, fuck, I'm gonna get you. I said, you've never seen a monster like me. I said, I'm gonna turn loose. I'm not gonna fight you. I'm gonna use my brain to absolutely do this to you. So I have this like badass attorney, like one of the top construction attorneys in Houston that teaches the bar. Like,
yeah.
The
Attorneys are everything in America, are they? A good lawyer is absolutely everything.
Oh, dude, this dude's an animal. It's like sits in one of the big towers. And I knew him because my law professor at the university is one of those badass attorneys. And I called him when I started. I said, hey, man, I need the guy. He's like, then you need this person. I called him. He said, hey, because I need a retainer. Wrote him a check for 5 G's. There you go. So I went to meet him. I said, hey, man, this guy owes me this much money. He's like, all right, look, here's what's going to happen. He goes, we can go after him. We get injunctions. He goes, you're not going to get shit. I'm like, what? He goes, he goes, how much money does he have? I said, he has a ranch. He has a massive ranch in Mexico. He goes, you're not going to get it. Yeah. He goes, he takes his money from here and puts it in Mexico. You ain't got shit. And I'm talking like, not like a small, like massive ranch.
Yeah.
Thousands of acres. So he takes his money, puts it back in Mexico. Smart businessman.
Yeah. Get out.
So, so my attorney's advice to me was, all right, here's what you're going to do. So again, all field, make a bunch of money, take your money, invest it, lose it all. Start over. Make some money, lose it all. Only to have your attorney say, all right, we're not going to go fight for your money. What you're going to do is you're going to go in and you're going to become wildly fucking successful. It's like, Shannon, what the fuck, dude? And my wife's like, Sidney, where's our money? I say, it's gone, baby. We ain't got none. Again.
Back to square one.
Back to square one. And I got my attorney saying, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go out and become wildly successful. You're going to make so much money that this is going to be a thing of your past. And you're going to show these motherfuckers. It's like, not again. All right, let's fucking go. So we did. Dust yourself off. Get back in it. Close the contract. Demand. That's when I actually start making money. But then when you start making money, you start realizing that there's some crooked motherfuckers in this world that are constantly trying to fuck you. So I learned construction law. Dude, I can't tell you how many books I read on law. I mean, I know contract law. Shit. The coolest part about the school I went to, Rice, they do something called a lifetime of learning. I went back and audited 19 classes since I graduated with my MBA in 2013. And I've audited classes on every subject from AI to Python to construction law or contract law, everything. If I want to learn something, I go back to the university. I go talk to the absolute best and I ask them questions. So when I built one of my companies, I built this pricing model. I was like, I think it works. I might go take this class called Pricing Strategies. And the guy that teaches it wrote one of the books that shows up on Twitter. of like the top business books to read. He's the professor. So I go sit in his class, and all these students are sitting there, and I'm sitting me. Like, well, who are you? Hi, I'm Sidney. I'm auditing your class. Okay. What do you expect to get out of here? I said, listen, I'm just here to learn, and I want to know, am I correct? He's like, what do you mean? I said, I built a model. I have a pricing model. I just want to know, am I thinking correctly? I said, okay, we'll see if we can answer that. So sure enough, man, we're running through this, and in between breaks, I'm showing him, I'm like, look, this is what I've calculated. This is what I've done. I said, is that correct? He's like, that's right. And so it's really cool when like the absolute guy that's at the top of the food chain that advises companies like Coca-Cola and big ass companies, and they pay him a bunch of money. You're not asking him how. You're showing him what you've done and saying, listen, I just need you to look at this and tell me, does it look right? And when he tells you, yeah, dude, you got it. I'm like, fuck it, let's go. And so that's it, Joe. That's my story. And right now, on LinkedIn, I'm writing from just this positive message. Like, look, go do it.
Yeah.
Just go do it. This is it. What you're doing, this podcast is beautiful, man. Just do it.
Yeah.
Justin's doing with his pictures, man. Just do it. This is it.
Yeah, throw everything on it.
You don't lose money, man. It's just money.
Mate, to be honest with you, I feel like I could have you on all day. But I've got to cut it at some point. But what I'm gonna ask is the same thing I ask everyone is, if you had your time again and you knew what you do now, would you do the same thing? Would you go back over, do it all again?
I wouldn't change a thing, man.
Not a thing. Maybe less downturns?
Huh?
Less downturns? No.
Shit, dude. Every one of those things is what makes your story, dude. Makes you stronger.
No.
That which doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
100%.
So, no, I wouldn't trade it, man.
No.
People that it influenced me, wouldn't trade it.
No, I'm with you on that. I feel like everyone answers pretty much the same thing. I did have one guy, unfortunately the recording didn't go well, he said no, he would go down a different route, go down supply chain. But he did have an ample excuse. But yeah, I feel like everyone's pretty much the same. Now they've enjoyed their time offshore and whatnot. It's
that's like I said, man, I appreciate the opportunity to talk.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure, Sidney. It's great to get it from the other side of the world. I mean, it's a different beast over in America. I mean, I only spent a few years there, but the industry is totally different over there than it is what we probably see in Europe in the grand scheme, especially Gulf of Mexico, and then you got the onshore is a totally different avenue altogether. Yeah, but thanks so much for coming on. I've really appreciated it, mate. I've taken an awful lot from it.
Thank you.
That's it. Another episode in the hopper. Brilliant lad. Plenty of stories, plenty of energy, honestly great experience. Did what was, like I said to him after the show once we went offline, is America is a totally different beast to what we know over in the UK. I spent a bit of time there, and the industry's totally different. Is it as regulated as ours in the United Kingdom? Probably not, but it is also the origins of where we kind of came from with offshore oil and gas. So a fantastic episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you are enjoying the show, like I have been saying in previous ones, please like, share, follow, do all that good stuff. Let your mates know and whatnot. And if you're interested, please reach out. Come on. Until then, until the next one, we go again, and stay safe.